They are gaslighting us, they are lying to the British public. Everyone else can see what's going on. They know that it's a genocide.
Keir Starmer has finally said that the level of human suffering in Gaza is intolerable, and he's called on the Israeli military to stop.
We're horrified by the escalation from Israel because this war has gone on for far too long. We cannot allow the people of Gaza to starve.
But why has it taken him so long to realise that, when some MPs have been warning him about this for more than a year? I'm joined now by one of those MPs who's been speaking out right from the start, Zarah Sultana, for an insider's account of what's been going on in Westminster during the genocide. Great to meet you, Zarah.
Thanks for having me.
Zarah, many people will have seen clips of you speaking out in Parliament, but more recently you've been joined by some unfamiliar faces from the Conservative benches.
I've been a member of the Conservative Friends of Israel for over 40 years. It is frankly unacceptable to recklessly bomb a hospital. It's unacceptable to starve a whole people. When is genocide not genocide?
Some more senior people in the Labour Party as well, perhaps.
It is extremism. It is dangerous. It is repellent. It is monstrous, and I condemn it in the strongest possible terms.
Why do you think these people only feel that now is the time to speak out?
I don't really understand. We have seen a death toll that has gone over 50,000, disproportionately women and kids. We know that UK-made weapons are being used in this genocide. We have heard detailed accounts from doctors, humanitarian workers, journalists, people from Gaza, and yet politicians have now decided to speak out, some politicians. It's unfortunate that it's taken this long, but it's important that they speak out.
And it feels like now is maybe the safe time to speak out. I've noticed more mainstream newspaper columnists, for example, saying that Israel has to stop. But what's it been like for you speaking out right from the start? Have you experienced kind of pushback in Parliament, people trying to silence you?
100%. The way I'm treated in Parliament is, I would say, in a constant state of hostility. There's a hostile environment, to put it. When I ask questions, I get heckles from Labour benches as well as Conservative benches. Sometimes it's so loud that you have to kind of speak louder, and it sounds like you're shouting, but you're just trying to be heard. And so for me, that is normal. Getting heckled, the way I'm briefed against internally within the Labour Party speaks to that, the abuse I get for the job that I do.
The UK has a legal duty to uphold international law. Why then did he block the arrest of an unindicted war criminal?
I didn't.
Parliament's authorities informed me that I was receiving the highest level of online abuse. And for me, that directly correlates when I speak up for migrants' rights, when I speak up for Palestinian rights. I am called a terrorist sympathizer. I am told to go back to where I came from, death threats, and those have to be reported to the police. But for me, it's really important that I still speak up because I'm in a very privileged position. I'm an MP, I'm able to use Parliament, its mechanisms, its platform to speak up about a genocide that this country is literally, this government rather, is literally facilitating. And that is a responsibility I take very seriously.
And Keir Starmer suspended around half a dozen or so MPs for voting against the child benefit cap. But some of those he's since let back into the party. You're not one of them. Why do you think you're being treated differently?
I'm being treated differently because I speak up about Palestine. I have been suspended from the Labour Party because I don't think children should live in poverty, hence I voted to scrap the two-child benefit cap. In the meeting around my suspension, my criticism of the Labour government was highlighted in terms of what I say is an active facilitation of genocide. And in response to that, I basically told the Labour leadership that I criticised the Conservative government for their complicity, for their arms sales, for their diplomatic cover, for their surveillance flights. I'm going to do the same for a Labour government who should know better.
The Foreign Secretary is personally responsible and refuses to ban all arms sales to this genocidal state. So, like many across Britain, I have to ask the Foreign Secretary, how do you sleep at night?
I know that the Honourable Lady is keen on clickbait, but I'm not going to be baited from this dispatch box.
This genocide is bigger than my political career. It's the litmus test for so many. And therefore, you have to do everything possible to stop genocide, whether that's speaking up against your own government, whether that's, whatever that could be. And I wish more politicians in my own party, especially, the Prime Minister, the Foreign Secretary, and those who can actually stop this today, also did that.
Do you think Keir Starmer and other ministers have blood on their hands over this?
I do. I think Keir Starmer, David Lammy, Andrew Mitchell, David Cameron, Rishi Sunak. I think there are so many ministers that have to be held to account. We've had, under this Labour government, the Israeli foreign minister arrive in London with the red carpet rolled out and an arrest warrant blocked. It hasn't improved the situation in terms of the reduction in arms sales, although obviously there was a suspension that was announced. We know that that hasn't been the case. F-35 components are still being transferred to Israel directly, according to a new report. So this Labour government's complicity is sky high. And you'd think that a former human rights lawyer in the form of the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, would be behaving differently to the Conservative government. But I would argue it's much worse in terms of the levels of arms that are going to Israel and also the number of surveillance flights as well.
And those surveillance flights are being run by the Royal Air Force almost daily over Gaza, and they're sharing that intelligence with Israel. You're one of the only MPs to raise concerns about this, and you've actually written to ministers at the MOD. What response have you got from them?
Very little. Under the guise of national security, things are shrouded in complete secrecy. We don't even know the levels of money that is going from the British taxpayer to fund these surveillance flights. We are told that they are being used towards hostage rescues. We don't know if that's entirely accurate because some of those flights have coincided with attacks on refugee camps, and also the targeted precision under which the Israeli military operates, where journalists are being killed, disproportionately women and children. You have to ask the questions: that is the RAF and those surveillance flights being used in the daily massacres of Palestinians? And given the fact that the UK is a signatory to the Geneva Convention and the Genocide Convention, we have to do every single thing possible to stop genocide, and we have not.
And speaking about using whatever procedures are available to try and hold the government to account, last week you were at the High Court in London where lawyers were challenging the Labour's arms export policy to Israel. And we heard some of the government's defences in court. They were saying things like they've not seen any evidence that Israel is deliberately targeting women and children. How do you feel when you hear things like that?
I want to say I'm surprised. I'm genuinely not. The amount of lies we hear coming out of Parliament is unbelievable. And we have all seen a live stream genocide. We have seen children in carrier bags being carried by their parents. We've seen kids who have been blown apart and parts of them are hanging over fences. We have seen so much horror. And for this government to then go to court and say, that is not happening. They are gaslighting us. They are lying to the British public. And the people that come out and demonstrate, the people that are writing to their MPs, the people that are organising in their communities know exactly what's going on. They know that it's a genocide. The ICJ is literally investigating Israel for genocide. The ICC has issued arrest warrants for Yoav Gallant and Benjamin Netanyahu for crimes against humanity and war crimes. Everyone else can see what's going on, yet this government continues to lie to us.
When I've been listening to some of these arguments from the government lawyers, it actually reminds me of a recent parliamentary committee hearing where Emily Thornberry had a lawyer from UK Lawyers for Israel, and she was making very similar arguments to what we heard the government lawyers making. Do you think that some of these pro-Israel pressure groups maybe have too much influence in Westminster and over Whitehall officials?
I think the language that we see in our politics and our media is often passive. Palestinians are just dying. We don't know by who, we don't know with which weapons. It's just happening as though it's some natural phenomenon. And that language is dehumanizing. I think it's rooted in anti-Palestinian racism. I think our policy towards what is going on in terms of the genocide is also rooted in anti-Palestinian racism. And we can see how that has taken root over decades. And I would say that the role of think tanks, pressure groups, lobbyists, all of that plays a part. These things don't happen in silos. And it is important for us to look at how our democracy works, how the super rich are able to buy influence through donations. We've seen that with the Prime Minister, with the Chancellor, and the donations that they've received and the freebies that they've received, and how that then affects policy. It also affected the previous Tory government. And so the role of pressure groups, the role of think tanks, the role of lobbyists, the role of state-funded or lobbyist-funded trips to locations, whether that's Saudi Arabia, or whether that's Israel, have to be scrutinised. I think the UK has a media system that is pathetic in many regards in terms of holding the government to account. There's a lot of client journalism. If you give me a story from Downing Street, I'm not going to properly criticise you or hold you to account when it comes to genocide. Therefore, we see very little scrutiny. The language that we see across the board is not the way it should be when you're dealing with a genocide. It's passive, it's dehumanizing, and often the daily horrors that we're witnessing around famine, around the complete devastation of health infrastructure. Not a single university exists in Gaza. All of these things you'd think that the British media would be talking about, that they'd be talking about the secret visit of an Israeli foreign minister whose red carpet was rolled out, and they didn't touch on it. The levels of complicity within UK journalism is shocking, and I don't know how a lot of people in our politics and media sleep at night.
Zarah, thanks for taking the time to talk to Declassified today. We're always keen to hear from independent voices such as yourself. If you like the journalism that we're doing at Declassified and you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please hit the button below. Also share the video so it's seen by more people. And if you're able to support our work financially, you can make a donation through the Super Thanks button below. Thanks for watching.